What's up, everybody? This is the Jedi. Random thoughts. I was watching an interview with Monique and her husband Sydney from the David Banner podcast, and somehow I ended up on this, and it's a scene, not an episode. It's a scene from an episode of Key and Peele, and they are doing a sketch about Black Republicans. I'll link it. It's very short, and it's funny and informative, but it provoked in me something that I've said probably 10 different ways or 1,000 different ways over the years, and I have yet another way to say it. um but the context in which I want to say it, the context is with Afghanistan, with COVID, with those are the two main issues, the infrastructure plan, whatever it is, we see that even in crisis, white people are still framing it as left and right. Left and right. Like some shit is just not left and right. Most things are not left and right. But that's how they frame it. And I found myself being bombarded, really, all of us. But I found myself being bombarded by this more prevalently now. It's always afoot, but it's standing out more because it's so inappropriate, and misplaced. Anytime they talk about COVID, the handling of it, the vaccine, they talk about Fauci, anything, they always say the left is doing the left. It's supposed to be a damn worldwide pandemic. But their feeble minds, still are forwarding this vomit of left and right. And that's the context. They're still trying to gain points, as if everybody's supposed to suddenly forget about the 4 years of Trump, the 8 years of Bush, the 8 years of Reagan, and all of that. We're supposed to forget about that, and that this is supposed to be their selling point, as if there would not be a pandemic but for the left. Bush is the one who marched their ass into Iraq and Afghanistan. That was the right that marched their country into Iraq and Afghanistan. And they've pussyfooted about leaving the entire time. And it's really fake outrage because they don't really want to leave, because the lithium and the opium is been big business for them since they blew up their own towers on 9/11 and attacked the Pentagon with a missile. They did that. not 19 people with box cutters. Give me a break. If that's the truth, I'm definitely Oprah Winfrey. No question. Don't need a DNA sample. I'm Oprah. But they act as if there's some big ta-da with the pulling out of Afghanistan, which is all CIA operation, but they're jockeying for political position. They don't care about the Afghanis or even the soldiers. And much of what we've seen has just been propaganda. You know, people are dying and they're clamoring at airports, and none of it's true. But that's not my vein that I'm traveling down in this piece, in this little vignette, you know. And then the same thing with the pandemic, left and right. And that brings me to this clip, because they really do put their thumb on the nail in describing the Black Republican. Like, everybody in the room looks the same, has the same clothing, has the same look. And I won't spoil the end for you, which is really, it won't, bust your side, but it'll be one of those moments, where it'll be enjoyable. I'll just say that. But this clip brings me to what I'm trying to say to you, and that is, for white people, it's always wrong and backwards thinking anyway. But particularly on politics, it's always left and right for them. And we always hear Black people always voting Democrat, as if we don't have some understanding, and we're just these wandering, thitherly beings that have no clue of the sophisticated world of politics, and we just have no idea what we're doing. And we're supposed to just rush over to the Republican side, apparently. But alas, those same people, if all Black people voted Republican, they'd say, well, look, they all vote Republican. But here's the phrase you always hear: Black people are not monolithic. Yes, the fuck we are. Yes, we are. You hear that all the time. It's been drummed into you. They're always saying it. We're not a monolith. We're not a monolith. Well, what is that? Mono means one. Now, we divided as fuck, but we're definitely one people. We are not like them, and we are not them. So by definition, we are a monolith. We are the people on the earth who possess this glorious melanin. That's monolithic, because nobody else has it. No one else can make the claim. So by default, we are a monolith. And politically, we are a monolith. Because for white people, it's about left and right. Everything else be damned. They'll vote against their mother. And they do. And they have. But for Black people, it's right and wrong. Hear that, my people. It's right and wrong. So just like we didn't create the concept of race and racism, and we're not the perpetuators of it. It's white people. But just like we're not the creators of racism, We've never responded to white people and hate them simply because they are pink. That absolutely has nothing to do with it. We cannot stand the fuck out their ass because they are the devil. Let us be clear. No racism going on over here, you see? Nobody hates thorns on a rose because they're thorns. You don't like the thorns because they prick you and it really hurts. You understand? So, we're not Democrats because we choose to be with some particular party, even. We are just aware that the very word Republican means white racist devil that doesn't give a shit about black people or anybody else. That they are money grabbing, blood sucking demons who don't believe that in a democracy where you pay your damn taxes and all of your damn money to the damn government, that you're supposed to get anything in return. Excuse me, I want a return on my investment. Now, this is not to say the Democrats are any better, or perfect, I should say. But in our innate, hear that, in our innate sense of right and wrong, the lesser of the evils is the Democrats, or anybody under that umbrella, so to speak. You know, like we're not in love with Joe Manchin right now because what? We sense bullshit from him. And the other whore, the white whore, it's him and the whore. Because we sense bullshit from them. And black people are not about bullshit. And we are not a people inclined to vote against our own interest. It's about right and wrong for us. We're not really interested in the politic, really, or any other title. Just, is this some bullshit or not? That's what it comes down to. And so it doesn't matter what the party would be or what it would be called. If you are saying rational things that are not radical and delusional, then you are inclined to get the African vote. We'll vote for that. You see? But hidden behind their slime-covered hand is a takedown, a total and complete social takedown of African people by trying to seduce you into thinking that being a Republican makes you something special, where while you see they take everything away from the society. Everything. Who held up the Affordable Care Act? That's health care for people who can't afford it. That's right and wrong. It's right for people to have health insurance. So, you lose on that, Republican asshole. Because you're into ideology and white supremacy, but above all, white evil and white serpentry. And we are not. By nature, we are not. So, we know that universal health care, or in this case, the Affordable Care Act, is a good thing, and we're inclined to that. That's just one example. So let us put down when we hear them trying to shame African people for voting Democrat. You tell them we vote right and wrong. We don't vote Democrat or Republican. And then you can throw anything at them, such as the Affordable Care Act. When we had the stimulus Who held up the stimulus? I wonder if I remember. Oh my God, it was Republicans. When Bernie Sanders wanted to give everybody $2,000, it was Republicans that didn't want anybody to have anything at all. Said people wouldn't want to go back to work, as if you were going to hit the lottery with a lousy $2,000, and down the list we can go. So when you have the delusional Candace Owens and the other talking puppets that are not African people, that they present as if this represents African people, which we know it doesn't. And it's yet another insult to us, and yet another reason why we would never join your clan. You see? And I just thought, wow, I really have to share this because it really is about right and wrong for African people. Just in our gut. But that's something that white people don't have. They don't have it. They don't have it. Proof of that statement is the fact that you have two parties. If it was about right and wrong, there'd be no need for two parties, or three or four or anything. If it was just about right and wrong, there'd be one party. That's it. The whole country comes out and votes for who they think should be president, and then we're done. But all this running on the Republican side and running on Democrat because they don't want righteousness. This is evidence of their visceral reaction to truth and what is right. This is why they make statements like separation of church and state. This is not an entity that is capable nor interested in right and wrong. Everything is about an agenda and their own pathetic state of being and their eternal lack of vision. Do you understand? So I wanted to give you some ammunition, some intellectual ammunition to think about, to store, but also to use when you hear fake ass so-called black people trying to defend Republican bullshit, or you hear white people talking about it. It's delusional. And it's dying out. They literally don't have enough people in that clan, spelled with 3 Ks, to elect anybody now. That's why they have all the gerrymandering and the redistricting and the electoral colleges, and just they have to have some sort of circus act. Because again, righteousness is not a capability they possess. So if we can't win, we'll just steal. We'll just change the rules. Bernie Sanders was out there getting huge crowds, many of them bigger than even Obama. And he's not the guy sitting in the White House right now. Because that would have been what? Right. If this were an African nation, at the very least, a nation that could exercise righteousness, Bernie Sanders would be the president. Al Gore would have been president. John Kerry would have been president. But this is the pit of Satan. And politics is a game and a tool of white supremacy, making you think it's better to go back, that there's something in it for you to have small government and, all the bullshit. Well, we're not in the tax brackets that they're in, the ones you're talking about it on television and that are in seats of power. So we don't care about your damn tax bracket. We just don't. We're just not interested. And we don't really give a fuck about your big government because everything is big government to us. Always has been. Government is kind of on our ass every day. That's our reality. So that pitch doesn't work for African people. Then you have these trying to evolve as Negroes who are seduced by the image, hear me, of the white male Republican. They admire them just having a different and fucked up opinion about some shit, just to have an opinion. And one of the things I loved about this clip is they highlight the redundancy and the lack of message and lack of substance, devoid of substance, of any black Republicans in general, but in this case, black Republicans. There's no substance. There's no pitch that they have. There's no sales point that is worthy to be heard by real African ears that would be persuasive to vote for that vomit or any candidate that they would put up. The simplicity of it is brilliant. And its simplicity is all it needs because it really is such a simple and pathetic display with these so-called black Republicans. So there's always one of them standing by any white Republican candidate at any rally. You may get two. Okay, two. We'll allow two. All right, I'm being told in my ear 3. All right, fine. But no more. So your takeaway is that African people have a different relationship with politics than white people. That indeed our relationship is not even with politics. Our relationship or our search, the relationship we seek, is with right and wrong. And that we articulate that through this process called politics and voting when we hear someone who speaks to that place in our soul that we innately know is right. They don't have to be a perfect candidate. And even if they're lying, they're saying the right things. So we know they're at least conscious of those things. You understand? That's your takeaway. Right and wrong. Right and wrong. But that white people vote ideology and strategy and white supremacy and racism and greed. That's what they vote for. And I dare say that even those unknown blacks out there who vote Republican, they're only doing it for tax reasons because they're in a different tax bracket. And so if you have a white Republican that, which is always for the rich anyways, then they're inclined, but that does not relieve them of their sense of right and wrong. They're just being selfish. And they know it. And that is unique and different than any white Republican voting for anything. But for that black person, maybe an Oprah Winfrey, or anybody in that bracket, any of these celebrity types and entertainers, who many of them do vote Democrat anyway, but you have some who are aloof and they feel a certain way, just like they, go to a certain restaurant. Once they get a little bit of money, they vote a different way when they get a little bit of money, No different than a basketball player suddenly getting him a white bitch. You know, it's not innate. It's just an act, really. But the rest of us, most of us, even if we are wealthy, we still have that sense of right and wrong. We know it when we hear it. We know it. We know that universal health care is right. We know that. We know that a living wage is right, that the minimum wage should go up. We know that. It is a good idea for the retirement age to be lowered and things like that. So don't fall for any more of these damn black or white fake ass Republican people. They're delusional and they are sick. African people vote right and wrong. My crescendo on that statement is the 2008 election of Barack Hussein Obama. We voted for Obama because he was the right candidate. He could have been anybody. He didn't have to be Barack. You say the things Barack was saying and laid out the agenda Barack was laying out, black folks was going to vote for you, period, the end. You got it sealed up. But we didn't vote for gay marriage because that was what? Wrong. Proving that we can walk and chew gum at the same time and still maintain our black integrity, even those of us who don't know we possess it. This is the Jedi.